For decades, people believed robots would replace factory workers first. But now, artificial intelligence is replacing something far more dangerous to lose: human thinking itself. Writers, designers, programmers, office workers. Entire careers are beginning to disappear quietly behind screens and algorithms. And most people still don't realize how fast it's happening. For decades, people believed technology would make life easier. Machines would handle dangerous labor. Software would remove repetitive work. Automation would increase productivity. And humans would finally have more freedom. But something unexpected happened. Technology didn't simply change jobs. It started replacing them. Quietly at first. A machine in a factory. A self-checkout screen. An automated phone system. Small changes most people barely noticed. But now, for the first time in modern history, artificial intelligence is beginning to replace something far more valuable than physical labor: human thinking itself. And that changes everything, because previous industrial revolutions mainly threatened manual work, factory jobs, agriculture, transportation. But artificial intelligence targets something different: decision-making, communication, creativity, analysis. Tasks once believed impossible for machines to perform. And the speed of this transformation is deeply unsettling. Not because AI is becoming conscious, not because robots are taking over the world, but because companies have discovered something extremely powerful. AI can often perform large portions of human work faster, cheaper, and without rest, which means millions of workers are entering a new kind of uncertainty. Not physical danger, economic invisibility. And perhaps the most disturbing part is how silently this shift is happening. Many people still imagine AI as futuristic technology years away from affecting ordinary life. But in reality, the transition has already begun. Right now, algorithms write articles. AI systems answer customer support requests. Software generates marketing campaigns. Programs analyze legal documents in seconds. Artificial voices replace real voice actors. AI tools create images, music, and videos once requiring entire creative teams. And every month, these systems improve faster than most industries can adapt emotionally. Because technological change does not merely alter economies. It alters human identity. For most people, their job is more than income. It becomes part of self-worth, routine, purpose, social identity. The question, what do you do, is deeply connected to how society measures value. And artificial intelligence quietly threatens that structure, not by eliminating all jobs overnight, but by slowly reducing how much human involvement companies actually need. This creates a psychological tension many people still struggle to process. Because for generations, education promised security. Study hard, develop skills, build a career, become valuable. But AI changes the definition of valuable work itself. Some tasks once requiring years of training can now be partially automated within seconds. And this realization creates fear even among highly educated professionals. Because intelligence alone no longer guarantees safety. In fact, many jobs most vulnerable to AI involve cognitive work rather than physical labor. Writers, designers, researchers, assistants, analysts, editors, support agents, even programmers. For years, society assumed creative and intellectual jobs were protected from automation. Now that assumption is collapsing. And perhaps no industry demonstrates this shift more clearly than customer service. Millions of people globally work in customer support roles, answering questions, handling complaints, providing information, tasks requiring communication and emotional patience. But modern AI systems can already perform many of these interactions convincingly. Not perfectly, but efficiently enough that companies increasingly prefer automation financially. And corporations follow efficiency relentlessly, because businesses are not emotional systems. They are optimization systems. If a company can reduce costs dramatically while maintaining acceptable performance, many eventually will. That economic pressure is one of the strongest forces driving AI adoption worldwide. Not necessarily innovation, cost reduction. And history shows that once automation becomes financially advantageous, it spreads rapidly. Factories learned this during industrialization. Retail experienced it through e-commerce. Media experienced it through digital platforms. Now knowledge-based industries are entering the same transition. But unlike previous technological shifts, AI affects white-collar workers psychologically in a very different way. Because many people tied personal identity to intellectual uniqueness. The belief that human creativity and reasoning could never be replicated by machines. AI disrupted that belief almost overnight. Suddenly, software could generate essays, create realistic art, compose music, write code, imitate human conversation. And even if these systems remain imperfect, they only need to become good enough economically to transform entire industries. That phrase matters. Good enough. Because businesses do not always pursue perfection. They pursue scalability, speed, cost efficiency, and AI delivers all three simultaneously. This is why many experts believe the first major wave of AI disruption will not look dramatic initially. No robots marching through cities. No sudden collapse of civilization. Instead, companies will quietly hire fewer people. Teams will shrink. One employee will oversee systems previously requiring 5. Entry-level positions will disappear first, because AI excels at repetitive cognitive tasks. And entry-level jobs often involve exactly that. Research summaries, basic editing, scheduling, data organization, customer interaction, administrative work. The problem is that entry-level jobs are how most people gain experience in the first place. So if AI removes those stepping stones, entire career pipelines begin weakening. And society has never fully experienced this kind of transition before. A world where machines increasingly perform beginner-level intellectual work better than beginners themselves. That possibility forces an uncomfortable question into public consciousness. What happens when large numbers of people become economically unnecessary to corporations? Because throughout history, human labor created bargaining power. Workers were needed, essential, but artificial intelligence changes that relationship slowly. And perhaps the deepest fear surrounding AI is not technological at all. It is psychological, the fear of becoming replaceable. At first, many people believed AI would only affect low-skilled work, simple repetitive tasks, basic automation, but reality unfolded differently. Some of the first industries disrupted by artificial intelligence were highly educated professions, and that shocked people psychologically, because society spent decades telling workers that intellectual careers were safe. Study harder, learn specialized skills, get a degree, develop expertise, and your future would remain secure. But AI does not think about status the way humans do. It only processes patterns, which means many jobs built around pattern recognition suddenly became vulnerable. And one of the clearest examples appeared inside the media industry. For years, companies hired teams of writers to produce articles, reports, summaries, product descriptions, and marketing content. Now AI systems can generate enormous amounts of written material within seconds. Not perfect writing, but fast writing, cheap writing, scalable writing. And scalability changes corporate behavior rapidly. Many media companies quietly reduce staff while increasing automated content production. Some journalists began using AI tools to draft outlines. Editors used AI for summaries. Marketing agencies automated advertising copy. Even scriptwriting workflows started changing. Not because humans disappeared completely, But because fewer humans became necessary, one worker assisted by AI could suddenly produce the output of several people. That single shift alters hiring structures dramatically. And the same pattern began spreading into graphic design. AI image generators evolved faster than most creative industries expected. Tasks once requiring hours of manual work could now be created almost instantly. Logos, concept art, advertising visuals, social media content, thumbnail drafts, product mock-ups. Again, not always perfect, but economically useful. And businesses often prioritize speed over artistic purity. This created intense psychological conflict among creative professionals, because creativity had long been viewed as uniquely human. A protected space machines could never fully enter. But AI blurred that boundary almost overnight. Suddenly, clients could generate dozens of visual ideas within minutes, which meant some forms of design work became less valuable financially, especially entry-level creative work. This pattern matters because technological disruption rarely removes entire professions immediately. Instead, it removes layers of work gradually. The simplest tasks disappear first, then intermediate tasks, and eventually, entire industries restructure around automation. This is already happening inside customer service. Many companies no longer want large human support teams if AI chat systems can handle most basic requests automatically. Banking apps use AI assistants. Retail websites automate responses. Phone systems increasingly operate without human operators at all. And most customers barely notice the transition, because convenience often matters more to consumers than human interaction. This creates another painful reality about automation. People usually support technological convenience until it threatens their own livelihood personally. And perhaps nowhere is this more visible than inside transportation. For years, self-driving technology sounded futuristic, experimental, unstable. But AI-driven transportation systems continue improving rapidly. Even partial automation already affects logistics industries worldwide. Delivery optimization, route prediction, warehouse robotics, autonomous driving assistance. Entire transportation ecosystems are slowly becoming algorithmic. And if fully autonomous systems eventually succeed commercially, millions of driving-related jobs could face enormous disruption. Truck drivers, taxi services, delivery workers, transportation support roles. Not instantly, but gradually enough that society may not emotionally process the scale of change until much later. And gradual change is psychologically dangerous because humans adapt slowly to invisible transitions. By the time disruption becomes obvious publicly, the economic structure underneath may already be permanently altered. This is one reason many experts worry about younger generations entering the workforce today, because many traditional career paths are becoming unstable simultaneously. Retail, media, administration, basic programming, customer support, data processing, even education itself is changing. AI tutoring systems already personalize learning at scale. Automated grading tools evaluate assignments instantly. Language models answer student questions continuously. And while human teachers remain essential emotionally, the administrative structure surrounding education is shifting rapidly. The same pattern appears in law. Many legal tasks involve analyzing documents, identifying patterns, and organizing information. Exactly the kind of work AI systems handle efficiently. Junior legal research roles may shrink dramatically as automation improves. Paralegal work, contract analysis, case summarization. Again, not fully eliminated, but reduced. And reduction matters, because when companies need fewer workers overall, competition intensifies everywhere else. This is why AI anxiety spreads far beyond technology industries themselves. The fear is not simply losing jobs. It is losing economic relevance. And humans are psychologically sensitive to relevance. People want to feel needed, valuable, useful. Work provides more than survival. It provides structure and meaning. Without that structure, many individuals experience deep emotional instability. This is why conversations about AI often become emotionally charged so quickly. People are not merely debating software. They are confronting uncertainty about their future place inside society. And uncertainty creates fear faster than facts do, especially because nobody truly knows how quickly these changes will accelerate. Some experts believe new industries will emerge and replace lost jobs naturally. Others warn that AI may automate faster than economies can create alternatives. Both possibilities may partially be true simultaneously. Historically, technology often created new opportunities after destroying old ones. But previous technological revolutions usually replaced physical effort. This revolution targets mental effort itself, which makes the transition psychologically different. The modern economy increasingly rewards cognitive work, but artificial intelligence directly competes with cognition. And perhaps that is why so many people feel unsettled watching AI evolve. Not because machines became human, but because humans suddenly became easier to imitate than anyone expected. One of the most dangerous assumptions people make about artificial intelligence is believing their profession is somehow immune, safe, untouchable. But history repeatedly shows that technological disruption rarely announces itself clearly in advance. At first, people dismiss it, then they underestimate it, and finally, they realize the system changed while they were still adapting emotionally. This pattern appears in nearly every industrial transformation throughout history. When automobiles emerged, many people believed horses would remain essential forever. When photography appeared, some painters feared the death of visual art entirely. When the internet expanded, traditional media companies underestimated digital platforms for years. And now, many workers still assume AI will only replace other people, not them. But artificial intelligence does not think in social categories. It analyzes efficiency, which means the question is no longer, is this job important? The real question becomes, how much of this work can be automated economically? And that distinction changes everything, because many professions are not single tasks. They are collections of tasks, some emotional, some creative, some repetitive, some analytical. And AI does not need to replace an entire profession immediately to transform it completely. If software automates even 50% of a role, companies may suddenly require far fewer employees overall. This is already happening in multiple industries quietly. Programmers increasingly use AI-assisted coding tools. Lawyers automate research. Architects generate conceptual drafts through AI systems. Financial analysts use algorithms for predictive modeling. Doctors utilize AI-assisted diagnostics. Even filmmaking workflows are changing through automated editing, voice generation, and visual effects systems. The shift is subtle but accelerating. And perhaps the most psychologically unsettling part is how invisible much of it feels. Unlike factories replacing workers physically, AI often operates silently in the background. A software update, an automated feature, a tool that quietly removes hours of labor without public attention, which means many industries may shrink gradually without dramatic headlines at all. One department reduces hiring, another freezes expansion. A company replaces entry-level positions with software assistants. Over time, entire career structures weaken slowly enough that society barely notices until the effects become widespread. And younger generations may feel this impact first, because beginners are most vulnerable during technological transitions. Experienced professionals often survive longer because they already possess networks, reputation, and higher-level judgment. But new workers entering industries face a different reality. Many of the starter jobs historically used to gain experience are becoming partially automated. Basic writing, research assistance, administrative coordination, data processing, simple design tasks, customer communication. These roles once served as stepping stones toward advanced careers. Without them, the ladder itself begins disappearing. And this creates a dangerous long-term problem. Because if people cannot gain experience early, fewer individuals eventually develop expertise later. A society cannot produce senior professionals without junior opportunities first. And AI may unintentionally destabilize that pipeline. This is why some economists worry the future job market may become increasingly polarized. A small number of highly specialized experts overseeing AI systems, while many others compete for shrinking amounts of human-centered work. And competition changes society psychologically. When economic security weakens, stress increases, trust decreases, social anxiety rises. People become more emotionally reactive. Historically, major technological shifts often create periods of instability before society adapts fully. But artificial intelligence may evolve faster than human systems traditionally adapt. Education systems move slowly. Governments move slowly. Cultural expectations move slowly. Meanwhile, AI capabilities improve monthly. And many institutions are still behaving as if the labor market of the future will resemble the labor market of the past. Students continue pursuing degrees for industries already changing rapidly. Workers continue training for tasks increasingly assisted by automation. Entire systems remain built around assumptions that may no longer hold true. This creates a psychological disconnect between expectation and reality. And reality usually wins eventually. But perhaps the most misunderstood aspect of AI disruption is that emotional intelligence may become more valuable rather than less. Because machines excel at processing information. But humans still dominate areas involving deep trust, empathy, leadership, and emotional connection. At least for now. People may tolerate AI-generated content, but many still crave authentic human interaction emotionally. This is why some experts believe future careers may increasingly divide into two categories: highly technical, AI-supervised work, and deeply human relational work. Everything in the middle becomes vulnerable. Routine intellectual labor, predictable communication, structured information processing, tasks with clear patterns. And unfortunately, large portions of modern office work fall directly into those categories. This does not mean society is doomed. Nor does it mean all jobs disappear. But it does mean the definition of valuable human work is changing rapidly. Adaptability may become more important than specialization alone. Learning continuously may matter more than static expertise. And people who combine technical understanding with emotional intelligence may possess enormous advantages in future economies. But adapting psychologically is difficult, especially because humans naturally seek stability, predictable identity, clear life paths. AI disrupts those expectations fundamentally. And uncertainty about the future affects people emotionally even before actual job loss occurs. Workers begin questioning their relevance. Students question career choices. Entire industries operate under quiet tension, not because collapse is certain, but because nobody knows exactly where the limits of automation truly are anymore. And uncertainty itself becomes exhausting, especially when technology evolves faster than society can emotionally process what is happening. Because deep down, many people are beginning to realize something uncomfortable. The safest careers of the future may not belong to those who simply know the most, but to those who remain the hardest to replace psychologically. For most of human history, work defined survival. People farmed, built, transported, created, taught, organized. Every generation inherited a simple assumption. Human labor would always be necessary. But artificial intelligence challenges that assumption more than any technology before it. Not because machines suddenly became alive, but because they became economically useful at scale. And scale changes civilizations. Once companies realize software can perform large portions of human work continuously, without fatigue, without salaries, without emotional complexity, economic systems begin restructuring automatically, quietly, relentlessly, and the transformation rarely waits for society to feel emotionally prepared. History shows this repeatedly. Technological revolutions move according to incentives, not emotional comfort. Factories did not pause because workers feared industrialization. The internet did not slow down because traditional industries resisted digital change. And AI will likely follow the same pattern. Because once competitive pressure begins, companies cannot easily ignore automation even if they want to. If one business reduces costs dramatically through AI, competitors eventually face pressure to do the same, which means adoption spreads through survival economics, not ideology. And this is why many experts believe the future of work may change far faster than public conversations currently acknowledge. The systems driving AI expansion are already active. Investment, competition, corporate optimization, global technological rivalry. Entire industries are racing toward automation simultaneously. Meanwhile, most ordinary people are still emotionally treating AI like a future possibility rather than a present reality. But the future has already started arriving unevenly. Some workers experience AI as a helpful tool. Others experience it as silent competition. And many still do not realize how rapidly their industries are changing beneath the surface. Because disruption often becomes visible only after structures have already shifted permanently. And perhaps the deepest challenge of the AI era will not be technological at all. It will be psychological. Human beings derive enormous meaning from usefulness. People want to contribute, to matter, to feel needed by society. Work provides more than income. It creates routine, identity, social connection, direction. Without those structures, many individuals experience emotional instability and loss of purpose. This is why discussions about automation often become existential so quickly. The fear is not merely unemployment. The fear is becoming unnecessary. And throughout history, human dignity has been deeply connected to contribution. But what happens when machines increasingly outperform humans across large areas of cognitive work? What happens when effort no longer guarantees economic value? These are questions modern civilization has never fully answered before. Some believe AI will create entirely new industries and opportunities just as previous technological revolutions did. And history suggests that possibility is real. New technologies often generate jobs nobody previously imagined. But there is another possibility experts increasingly discuss quietly. What if this transition becomes different because AI automates adaptation itself? Previous technologies still required humans to operate most systems directly. But AI systems increasingly improve themselves through data and iteration, which means the pace of automation may accelerate continuously rather than stabilize. And human institutions struggle to adapt quickly. Education systems require years to change. Governments move slowly. Cultural expectations evolve gradually. Meanwhile, technology compounds. Every improvement creates the foundation for faster future improvements. An exponential change feels psychologically unnatural to humans. People instinctively expect the future to resemble the recent past. But AI may disrupt that expectation more dramatically than most realize, especially for younger generations entering uncertain labor markets. Many students today are preparing for careers that may look completely different within 10 years. Some professions may shrink significantly. Others may transform beyond recognition. And entirely new roles may emerge unexpectedly, which makes adaptability one of the most important survival skills of the modern era. Not simply technical ability, psychological flexibility, the ability to continuously learn, reinvent identity, adjust to uncertainty, without collapsing emotionally. Because the future economy may reward resilience as much as expertise. And perhaps the most important realization is this. Artificial intelligence does not automatically make human beings less valuable, but it may force society to redefine where human value actually comes from. Creativity alone may not be enough. Information alone may not be enough. Even intelligence alone may not guarantee security anymore. Instead, the most protected human qualities may become the hardest ones to automate completely. Authentic emotional connection, trust, leadership, meaning, empathy, human presence itself. Ironically, the more advanced technology becomes, the more emotionally valuable genuine humanity may feel. Because people do not merely want efficiency. They want understanding, connection, purpose, and no algorithm fully replaces those experiences psychologically. At least not yet. Still, the transition ahead may become deeply uncomfortable for millions of people. Entire industries will likely evolve. Career paths may disappear. Social expectations may change permanently. And many individuals may spend years psychologically adjusting to a world where intelligence itself is no longer uniquely human. That realization alone may alter civilization more than most people currently understand. Because once machines participate in thinking, human identity begins changing too. And somewhere right now, inside offices, corporations, universities, and technology labs across the world, that transformation is already accelerating quietly. Not in the distant future. Not someday. Now, the question is no longer whether AI will change society. It already has. The real question is, how many people will realize what is happening before the future of work changes permanently around them? And maybe the strangest part of all is that artificial intelligence is not arriving suddenly. It's arriving quietly, one update at a time, one automated task at a time, one disappearing job at a time. Most people won't notice the shift immediately until one day, entire industries look completely different from the world they once understood. But technology has always changed civilization. The real question is whether humanity can adapt emotionally fast enough to survive the transition without losing itself in the process. Because in the age of artificial intelligence, being intelligent may no longer be enough. The future may belong to the people who remain deeply, authentically human. If you enjoyed this documentary, subscribe and turn on notifications for more deep psychological documentaries about technology, power, society, and the future of humanity. And remember, the future rarely announces itself loudly. Sometimes, it arrives silently in the background while the world is distracted.